Welcome back to Pause to Unedit Yourself, a podcast where reflection meets transformation, where we explore the art of becoming one intentional pause at a time. I'm your host, Anushka, and each episode offers you a chance to press pause and explore bite sized insights and soulful reflections from my own journey of introspection in the hope it will help you too on your path of personal evolution. Whether you're feeling stuck, seeking clarity, or simply wanting to expand, my hope is that this becomes a space of inspiration and deep remembering, guiding you to evolve from within and uncover the infinite potential that lives inside each and every one of you. Your time is so valuable, it's the most precious commodity. So, I want to start by thanking each one of you for being here and sharing this space with me and tuning in. Thank you for pressing pause and really choosing to take this journey inward and daring to become the highest expression of yourself. Today, as I sat down, I had kind of scheduled to record the podcast, but this last week I've been a bit under the weather and my voice was, you can probably hear it, slightly heavy, recovering from a cold. Well, it's feeling like, do I have the energy to do the podcast today? This morning, I was actually just catching up with a couple of friends, um, and last couple of weeks, there has been a topic that keeps coming up, and I thought, okay, this obviously needs to be. So actually, on Netflix, there have been. I don't really watch Netflix that much anymore. But when I was kind of browsing through, I was kind of observing how many um, series that they're on there from, Love is Blind to how many kind of dating series there are. And the new one is called The Age of Attraction, which I did indulge in actually. And it kind of made me realize that how much of this human experience that we're having, that we are really searching for someone to witness us, and we are on this search to find love really. And then this question that keeps coming up, right, beneath all of our desires, people who are searching, who've gone through divorces and are searching, um every way we look about it, from dating perspectives, people are searching. And I kind of noticed this and through all of these series and conversations I've been having with friends. It's like, why haven't I met the right person yet? Why do I keep attracting people with the same dynamic? Or why do relationships start so amazing, but they start coming apart? And so, really, to answer that question, quite often I think that instinct is to start looking outward, to start analyzing the other person, to look at their behavior, their availability, their emotional capacity. But in reality, what if the deeper question is not who you are attracting, but who are you being? Let me repeat that. It's not who you are attracting, but who you are being. Because ultimately, relationships, they're not just about compatibility. Of course, it plays a big part, but at the core of it, it's about that energetic resonance. And here's the truth that people find really uncomfortable at first. I did as well. And until, you sit down and you do that inner work and you start questioning, it's like, and you might have heard this. It says we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are, who we are. And that I'm not talking in terms of personality, but it's in terms of energy. It's in terms of emotional patterns. It's in terms of those unconscious beliefs about what we have about them. So today I wanted to explore the energetics of relationships, why attraction works the way it does, what men and women deeply seek in love, and what potentially could be the three core ingredients that create a relationship that actually thrives. Um, so you might have heard about the law of attraction. And when people hear the phrase law of attraction, they often think about visualizing the perfect part. Someone kind, somebody emotionally available, somebody grounded, somebody supportive and secure. But in reality, the law of attraction doesn't work by responding to your wish list. What it actually does, and here's the secret, it responds to your state of being. So let me give you an example. If someone consciously desires love, and you say, oh, I desire love, I want to be in a loving relationship, but unconsciously, because of past pain, because of past relationships, past hurt, they fear intimacy, then what are you attracting? If someone wants commitment but deeply fears abandonment, then what are you attracting? If someone, craves that closeness, but again, based on past conditioning of what closeness means, maybe it means to suffocate and feels controlled in some kind of way, then subconsciously they struggle to trust. So it's those subconscious patterns and it's that energy that gets emitted that carries those deeper patterns. And what relationships have, they have this way of mirroring our unresolved inner landscape. And that's a hard pill for people to get their heads around. And it's not as a punishment, it is as a reflection because the people that we attract, more often than not, they reveal the parts of ourselves that are really asking to be seen. They're asking to be healed or integrated. And this is why when, two people can actually want the same thing. They want a loving, a stable relationship. They want all of that. But they end up experiencing on repeat completely different dynamics. So, one may attract consistency, another may constantly attract emotional unavailability. And that difference, it often lies with that internal alignment. So, exploring this slightly further is this aspect of attraction lying in the dance between masculine and feminine energy. And I want to kind of stress here that energies are not about gender. They're actually this archetypal force that exists within all of us. We all have masculine and feminine energy. So, masculine energy, this tends to be sort of directional, it's grounded, it's protective, it's purposeful, it's structured, it's like a container. Um, and masculine energy, it is a driver. It moves towards mission, its stability, and providing that structure. And on the flip side, a feminine energy, it tends to be expressive, it's intuitive, it's receptive, and it's emotionally attuned. It flows. And feminine energy, it moves towards connection, creativity, and emotional depth. And so if you're thinking about it like a river, the riverbank is the masculine energy because it contains the flow of river, which is the feminine energy. And both needs to exist, otherwise it won't be a river. So healthy relationships, they flourish when these energies are in sync, when they're able to complement each other rather than to compete. And so when the masculine feels respected and purposeful, it naturally wants to lead and protect. And when the feminine feels safe and cherished, it naturally opens, it softens and expresses. But what happens in many modern day relationships, they struggle because people unconsciously operate from a defensive version of these energies. The masculine, it becomes controlling or emotionally distant, and the feminine becomes guarded or really hyper independent. And most often than not, most of these responses come from past hurt. So instead of polarity, what we end up sometimes seeing is two people protecting themselves rather than meeting each other openly. And this work, it's not to become someone else. It's to really soften that armor that we present, um, around those past experiences that we may have built. So, what do men and women desire at the core? Well, beneath all of the complexities, human desire and relationships are quite simple. Think about it. Many men at their core, they long to feel respected, appreciated, and trusted. Not perfect, but valued. They want to feel that their presence matters, that their effort is seen. And what about women? Well, at their core, they long to feel safe, cherished, and emotionally understood. Not rescued, but held. And they want to feel emotionally met, seen beyond the surface. And so when we look at these two different cores, of course, we realize every individual is unique. These are two different needs. And so most often than not, relationships struggle because not because that the love is absent, it's because these deeper needs are not fully recognized. So I kind of explored what could be the three kind of core ingredients of a thriving relationship. What does it actually take to sustain a healthy relationship, like beyond that chemistry, beyond the attraction? And from exploring and researching and listening to a lot of people, I've come to the conclusion that these three qualities are consistent. Um, they consistently appear in relationships that flourish, right? The first one is emotional safety. And this is the foundation because what does this mean? It means that two people can be authentic themselves without that fear of rejection or punishment, that they can express their feelings honestly without treading on eggshells each time they want to say how they feel, that they can admit their vulnerability, they can share the uncertainty, all without feeling that their openness will be somehow used against them. And so, without that emotional safety, people start to they begin to edit themselves and wear a mask, right? Because you want to keep the peace. And that's when you start molding yourself to keep the other one happy. And that's the kind of the start where the relationship starts to slowly lose that intimacy. The second kind of key thing is mutual growth. And I think this is absolutely key because a relationship, it cannot thrive if only one person is evolving. Because growth means both individuals are on that journey together. They remain curious about themselves, about each other, about the world. It means being willing to reflect, to communicate, to repair when things go wrong. Not perfectly, but this is the key, it's consciously. Because love that grows is the love that ends up expanding alongside the individuals within it, within that relationship. And the third thing is energetic alignment. And this I feel is a deep layer because it's when two people share similar values about life, about love, about direction. You don't have to have identical personalities at all, but it's that alignment and that sense of walking in the same direction. So, just like the Netflix series The Age of Attraction, and if you have it in your region, I would advise you maybe just indulge yourself and to watch it. It's quite interesting actually. And in this series, couples were introduced to each other and they dated, but the one condition was that they had to get to know each other and they weren't allowed to ask each other their ages until they were ready to take that next step, and to make that promise. Because ultimately, what this um, experiment was trying to show you was that it's not about the age gap that between two people that is important, which is what society has kind of led you to believe that a man needs to be older than a woman, or a woman who's older than a man, it's never going to work. One of those key criteria to making a relationship successful, like the Netflix series The Age of Attraction. Attraction may bring two people together, but in reality, it's the alignment is what allows them to build something meaningful over time. So if you find yourself asking, why haven't I met the right person yet? A powerful question to sit with might be, am I embodying the qualities I desire in another? Not from a place of self criticism, but really from a place of self awareness. Because the most magnetic energy in any kind of relationship, it's not perfection. You know what it is? It's wholeness. Because when someone knows who they are, when they've taken that time out to really sit with themselves and are comfortable with themselves and know who they are, when they're emotionally aware and emotionally secure, when they're grounded in their values, and when they actually no longer seek someone to complete them, but rather someone to walk alongside them, that is when relationships begin to shift. Because love stops being something we chase. It's not coming from a place of lack that we need someone to love us. That's neediness. It's coming from a lack that basically means that we are not whole. What actually happens when you stop chasing, it becomes something we naturally attract. And that is that law of attraction. You become that you want to attract in your life. So today I want to invite you to pause and reflect, because this is what this space is here for. And just think about, if the relationship that you desire already existed, who would you need to become? What qualities would you embody? What emotional patterns might you need to release? Because sometimes the greatest shift in our love life, it does not happen when we meet someone new. It happens the moment we meet ourselves more honestly. And from that place, everything begins to change. As always, I use these episodes as reminders for myself, like mini guides that you can refer to whenever you need a check in with yourself for a moment of recalibration. So do feel free to save them and share them with someone who might need to hear them. And please do share your comments and feedback too. It will help me to know what resonates for you and what you would like to hear more of. See you on the next episode.